It was the worst day of my life. There was just no other way to put it. I'd been super excited about being selected as the lead for the school play, and that too over Jessica, the head cheerleader, who was always trying to one-up me. But just as I was celebrating my small victory, she walked up to Brody, my boyfriend, and the male lead. Then without any warning, she kissed him in front of everyone. When she pulled back, Brody looked stunned. But to my utmost horror, he grinned and said, "That was hot." "Hey, get away from him." "Oh, no, don't. Babe, listen. I've been dreaming about her kissing me since forever. It's a dream coming true. I'm sure you'll understand. We're over. Take care, I guess." "Are you out of your mind? What do you like about her?" But she just kissed him again, and they both left. "She doesn't even like Sniper Wolf. She isn't human." I was so devastated that I ran home and went straight to bed. Little did I know, the horror was just beginning. Hi, my name is Carly, and this is my story of how my entire life got turned upside down in a matter of hours. Before I continue, don't forget to like and subscribe. I woke up startled when I felt something touch my foot. I sat up in bed and saw something that made me scream. A young girl was staring right at me across the room.
Carly?
Who are you?
Thank God you're awake, Aunt Carly. You look so stupid when you're asleep.
Aunt? Carly? Who are you? And how did you get in here? The kid just rolled her eyes and handed me a letter.
Mommy disappeared last night and left this letter to me. Read it, now!
I opened the letter and almost passed out. My beautiful Haley, if something ever happens to me, don't be scared and go to your Aunt Carly on this address. Just make sure your grandma never sees you. I'll come find you as soon as I can. Love, Mommy. I gasped. This little brat was my sister Abby's daughter? Mom had kicked Abby out 6 years ago for being pregnant at only 18. She was so mad at her for violating her #1 rule. Don't get pregnant before marriage. Abby had completely disappeared, and now suddenly, she'd sent her kid to me out of the blue? While I was reading the letter, the girl had unpacked a huge bag with skincare products.
It's time for my night routine. Where's the bathroom?
Hold it. You can't stay here. How am I supposed to hide you from Mom?
That sounds like your personal problem.
Suddenly, Mom started banging loudly on my door. "Carly! I just heard a little girl's voice. Are you hiding your secret child in there? Open the door or else." Oh no! I shoved Haley inside my closet and threw all her bags under my bed just as the door flew open and Mom barged in, looking like a bull ready to attack. "What took you so long to open the door? Where's your kid?" "Don't be crazy, Mom. Why would I have a kid? I don't remember getting pregnant for 9 freaking months. I don't even have a boyfriend." "That's what your sister said too. But look what she did." "But I'm not Abby, Mom." I have my eyes on you, young lady. As soon as Mom left the room, Haley stepped out of my closet looking really annoyed.
Your mom sounds like a pain in the butt.
"I don't know what to do with you. Could you just go to sleep now so I can have my peace? I'll get you a mattress." She laughed and jumped onto the bed.
Don't be crazy. That's child abuse.
Before I could protest, she had snuggled under the covers and gone to sleep. I considered putting her out with the trash. But as she lay there peacefully, I realized that she looked so much like her mom. It just really made me miss my sister. Okay, fine. I'll give you a week before I have to figure out how to deal with this situation. The next day, I woke up to Haley jumping on the bed.
It's all done, Auntie Dumbo.
What is?
Your homework. I redid everything because all your answers were wrong.
She pushed my notebook into my hands, and I almost passed out. She'd erased all my work, and it was due today. I didn't have time to correct it. This is a graded assignment. If I fail, I swear I'll make you live under the bed forever. But boy, was I in for a shock. My teacher announced that I was the only one with a perfect score. After class, everyone surrounded me in the hallway and someone said, "If you do my homework, I'll pay you $50. I'll pay you $100. Before I knew it, I already had 20 people offering to pay me good money, and everyone wanted to hang out with me so I wouldn't turn their work down. After school, I rushed home with a brilliant idea. I told Haley I would keep her if she did everyone's homework. You can help me be popular, and I'll take you shopping.
You've got yourself a deal, sister.
And popular I got. Not only was every other guy dying to hang out with me, but more importantly, I had Brody's attention again. One day, he stopped me in the corridor. "What do you want now, Brody?" "Carly, I'm so sorry. I was so stupid, and I never should have broken up with someone as smart and pretty as you." "You're right about that. I just need your help to pass this one class. Please, please tell me you'll help me, or I'll think you haven't forgiven me." Okay, fine. I'll do it. "Thanks, babe. This means the world to me." I took his assignment and gave it to Haley. She took one look and said,
Brody, is this the boy you've been crying over in your diary who was such a jerk to you?
"You read my diary? Just mind your own business and stay out of adult things that you don't understand. And make sure you do this assignment really well." A few days later, I woke up and found Haley sleeping at my desk, next to the pile of assignments she'd been working on. I noticed a small piece of paper next to her. It was a little sketch of Haley and Abby outside a cute little home. Under it, she'd written, "I love you, Mom." Suddenly, I felt terribly sorry for her. So I decided to enroll her in my school. I marched her straight into the principal's office and dumped my calculus assignment on the table. "My niece here did this. She's brilliant. You have to enroll her. You can test her." The principal rolled her eyes and wrote a question on a piece of paper and pushed it towards Haley. "Fine. Solve this, baby genius." In under a minute, she solved it and pushed the paper back.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
The principal looked at it with her mouth open. She immediately enrolled Haley in the 6th grade on a scholarship for gifted kids. I felt like the world's best aunt. As soon as we left the office, I bumped into someone. I looked up to see that it was Brody, with Jessica right behind him. "What did you do? You made me fail." "What are you talking about?" "How else do you explain the F?" "That's not possible. And how do you explain holding Jessica's hand? You're still with her?"
Of course he is, loser.
And with that, Jessica grabbed his face and started kissing him.
Ew! You guys are so gross. I'm glad I messed up your assignment. I knew you're not good enough for my aunt.
Then she turned to me.
You're too beautiful and smart for dumbos like him. You deserve someone so much better.
Jessica raised her hand to slap Haley. "Watch your mouth, you little..." I immediately cut in. "If you or your two-timing jerk of a boyfriend ever think of touching my niece, I will rip you apart. Come on, Haley." After class, I looked around for Haley, but she was nowhere to be seen. I finally found her in the washroom, surrounded by other girls from 6th grade throwing spitballs and paper planes at her.
You're really tough in class, baby Einstein. Isn't it time to change your diaper already? You stink. Back off. I'm not scared of you. It's time we change that.
There was no way someone was talking to my niece like that. "Hey, back off, jerks. You're just jealous because she's smarter in her sleep than you are all at your best." The girls immediately stepped away and scattered. As they ran out of the bathroom, one of them said,
"If I was that ugly, I would want to be smart too."
At that, Haley burst into tears.
I am beautiful. I have a whole Korean skincare routine.
I hugged her and asked her what I could do to make her feel better.
Well, I've been wanting to go shopping for weeks now.
"How about I take you to the mall tomorrow, kiddo? I have the play today and I really need that scholarship."
But I really need new boots. I've only 14 pairs.
"That's tragic. I promise, I'll take you tomorrow."
It's Sleeping Beauty. All you have to do is sleep. No need for practice. I want to go now.
I rolled my eyes and shook Haley off me. She looked mad and ran off. I'd deal with her later. I had a play and university scouts waiting for me. I changed into my costume and was just about to go on stage when my phone rang. "We have a little girl here, Haley, who says she's your niece, and she's forgotten her way home. Please come and get her immediately. The mall's closing." "What? You must be mistaken. Haley would never." "Listen, lady, you come get this kid or I leave her outside." I ran out of the auditorium feeling furious. I was going to kill Haley. I found her outside the mall in a pair of new boots. She jumped up when she saw me.
Hey, look! Carly, aren't these pretty?
How could she make me miss my play for a pair of stupid shoes? Before I knew it, I was yelling at her. "You're such a brat! I wish you'd never come to live with me!" Haley looked shocked and then burst into tears. As soon as we got home, she jumped into the closet and slammed it shut. I started feeling terrible for yelling at her and told her to come sleep on the bed, but she wouldn't even reply to me. When I woke up the next morning, Haley wasn't in the cupboard. I noticed her little backpack was gone too, and so was the picture she'd drawn. I looked for her all over the house, then ran to school hoping to find her in class. But her teacher says she hadn't come to school this morning. "Is everything okay, Carly? Also, when you have the time, I need to talk to you about Haley's attention deficit disorder." Her what? Oh God. Her behavior was a condition? I felt even worse. Panic rose in my chest and I did the only thing I could. I went to Mom and told her everything. She was shocked at first, and then she was so mad at me. "You let my grandchild sleep in the closet? And now you've lost her? How could you be so careless?" "Don't blame me. It's your fault my sister doesn't trust you with her kid, and I'm only 15. This is not the time for your nonsense. Where do we look for her now?" Just then, Haley's drawing came to my mind, and I thought that Haley might be at my sister's. We got there and I ran inside, and sure enough, this was Abby's house. I started to look around and found Haley in bed, fast asleep while hugging Abby's framed picture. Mom and I ran and hugged her, and Mom whispered into her ear, "I'm sorry, kiddo. I'm so sorry. I don't know where your mommy is, but I promise I'll look after you till then." Somewhere along the evening, we fell asleep next to Haley. The next morning, I woke up to find Abby sitting on the bed and smiling at us. "Abby? Abby? Mommy!" Haley ran and hugged her while she groaned a bit. "Easy there, kiddo. Mommy's a bit ill." Mom was all tears. She kept hugging Abby and Haley and crying and saying how sorry she was. But where were you, Abby? What's wrong? Finally, she told me where she'd been for the last month. Apparently, she'd passed out at work and had to be taken to the hospital. She'd been unwell for a while and had left the note with my address for Abby as a precaution, in case she got worse. Lucky you did! But now it's time to come back home. You need someone to take care of you. And now that I've seen her, I want my granddaughter in my life. I hugged Haley. Looks like no one can resist your cuteness.
Oh, thank goodness! Aunt Carly finally said something smart.
Then I got a message from Brody, and I showed it to Haley. "Jessica dumped me. Please take me back."
What a loser! You deserve the best, Aunt Carly.
That's for sure.
It was a cold night, and I shivered. I felt so trapped and helpless. My parents are terrible people. They are monsters. How can such a terrible thing happen to us? When I was younger, I already knew that my dad had a problem. My mom did too. He spent a lot of time with his friends playing cards. My mom, on the other hand, started with a glass of wine during dinner. As the years went by, they both got so much worse. She started to go out every night as well. Most of the time, they left us alone in the house. They got into frequent fights, always yelling and breaking things. So when I turned 15, our nice house had already turned into a dump. Most of our furniture was destroyed from their fights, and my mom wasn't interested in us anymore. She was just interested in the drink in her hand. One night, my two younger sisters and I had to share just one cup of noodles. That was all we had. There was nothing but cold water and beer inside our refrigerator.
Do we have any more, Sam?
My younger sister Katie asked. She just turned 9. It broke my heart to see her asking for food. "This is all we have," snapped Alex. She's 13 years old, just a few years younger than me. But she's tough. She's beginning to realize that our lives are horrible. I am 16 now, and most of the time, I am left behind to take care of my two sisters. I don't think that my parents even remember that they have children. I'm the one who has to clean our small and dingy house. I have to be the one who makes sure that there's a little money to use to buy food. I'm not even legally an adult, but I have to play the role of mother and father. Do your parents make you feel terrible sometimes too? Keep on watching so you can understand what's really going on. Click the like and subscribe button too. My sisters and I stay at home most of the time because somebody there was waking up and walking to our room. The door burst open.
"Why are you making so much noise so early in the morning?"
It was my dad. I tried to hide the paper bag with bread, but he saw it anyway.
"What's this?"
He asked. He got the paper bag from my hands, and he pulled out a piece.
It's good,"
he added.
"This is a nice breakfast."
Then he walked out the door with the food.
Daddy!
Katie cried.
That's ours! We didn't get to eat a real dinner last night!
Things started to get even worse from that day on. My dad had to sell his car. None of that money reached us. He even tried to take away some of my mom's jewelry. They had a huge fight about that. My sisters and I stayed in our room, feeling terrified from the noise they were making. The next day, when I looked around, the house was a mess, and a lot of things were broken. My parents were nowhere to be found. There was no money to be found in their bedroom. I had no choice now but to go out and find something we could eat. I put on my shoes and I went out to the busy street. There was a lot of people walking to their office that morning. It was a crowded sidewalk. Then, I saw a woman who was busy talking on her phone. She was holding a phone with one hand and a cup of coffee with the other. Her handbag was swaying and hanging over her shoulder. As quick as a flash, I ran and grabbed the handbag. The hot coffee spilled on my arm, but I didn't care. I ran away as fast as I could until the sounds of the woman shouting drifted away. Some people tried to grab me to stop me, but I twisted away from them. I ran in a zigzag and jumped over some trash cans in an alley. With my heart pounding in my chest, I realized that I just became a thief. I hid and waited for a long time in that alley. Finally, I opened the bag. There were keys and a wallet in there. The wallet had a few $100s inside. Yes! I screamed. This was going to be enough! But someone heard me. It was an older kid. He looked like he was going to take the money away. "Hey kid," he said. "What's that in your hand?" I froze and I was ready to fight. Nobody was going to take the money away from me. But the boy held out his hands. He told me to relax. He said that he wasn't going to steal from a thief. He just said that he wanted to look at the bag and the wallet. He came close and examined it. "Nice," he said with a little whistle. "We can get a lot of money for this." He showed me the label of the bag. He said that it was an authentic designer piece. He held out his hand and said that his name was Raymond. "If you really need the money, you can work for me. I like you. You're fast." So that's when I became a pickpocket. With Raymond's help, I was able to make more money. We watched the people pass on the street, and he would point out the ones I could steal from. As payment, I gave him half of what I got. I also gave him the bags and the wallet of the people I stole from. He bought those from me for $10 each. I knew those bags cost so much more, but I was grateful for the extra cash. After a while, it didn't matter if the wallets had 10s or 100s. I had enough to buy food. One stolen wallet a week was enough. But after a while, Raymond wasn't very excited with our setup anymore. He wanted a bigger payout. He asked me if I wanted to be a part of their gang. They were pulling a big job in a few days. They were going to steal some electronics. "Those TVs, phones, and tablets are going to be worth so much more," Raymond said to encourage me. He said that I was going to make a few months' worth of money if I joined them in this single project. It sounded exciting. I didn't have to steal for a few months? So I agreed. Raymond filled me in on the plan. He and his friends had all the codes for the electronics store. He said they could open the door easily, but we had to smash the glass cases to get to the goods. He handed me a small crowbar that I could use. My job was to get all the tablets on display and shove them in my backpack. We waited until past midnight. Then, along with Raymond and 2 other guys, we walked to the store. It had an electronic lock. Raymond just punched some numbers and a green light blinked from the lock panel. We were in. I was feeling very scared when we walked in. What if someone was inside? "Don't chicken out on me now," Raymond hissed. "Just remember your job." So with a deafening crash, we began to break the display cases. Raymond kept shouting for us to hurry up. I grabbed all the tablets I could find. Soon, my bag was full. "All right," Raymond yelled again. "Let's get out of here." We ran back into the streets, but soon we heard sirens. Raymond cursed. He said that the display cases probably had alarms too. Our feet were pounding on the pavement as we ran away, but pretty soon there were cops running after us too. A police car came and blocked our path. The cops pointed their guns at us. "Stop!" they shouted. "We've caught you red-handed!" We raised our hands over our heads, and the police shoved us down to the ground. They put handcuffs on me, and they dragged me to the car. Within an hour, we were locked up in jail. I started to cry in my cell. I thought about my sisters. Who was going to take care of them now? The next day, a woman in glasses came. She said that her name was Pam, and she was a social worker. She wanted to talk. Because I was still a minor, she wanted to know why I was stealing. I broke down and told her that I was only doing this to take care of my sisters. I told her everything that was happening in my house. I told her that my parents didn't care about us and that they didn't even feed us. She said she was going to get my sisters and take them in her custody. But I had to stay in juvenile detention. My crime was too much for just a slap on the wrist. I was being charged with robbery and theft. I had an awful time in jail. There were other kids there who hurt me because I was thinner and smaller than them. I spent most of my time just trying to get out of their way. When they told me that I could continue school while in juvenile detention, I jumped at the chance. Finally, I could go to school without being worried about what was going on at home. I thought about my sisters a lot. I thought about my parents, and I felt so much hate coursing through my veins. If they just did their responsibility as parents, I wouldn't be stuck in jail. This was all their fault. I wasn't responsible for putting food on the table. I was already in jail for a few years when I decided to sue them. I wanted to sue them for giving birth to me. Somehow, I managed to call Pam. I told her my plans. She thought it was a good idea. She came back a few days later, and a lawyer was with her. Together, we made my case. By this time, I didn't care anymore if there was no money to be won in the case. I just wanted my parents to be punished. Finally, it was time to face them before a judge. The courtroom was packed. There were photographers and reporters everywhere. I ran to my sisters when I saw them beside Pam. Katie looked thinner, but Alex was smiling. We hugged each other and I asked if they had enough to eat. "We're okay, Sam," Alex told me. "Pam made sure that we're in a nice foster home and we're together. But we want to be with you. We want to live with you." That's what I wanted too. I just wanted to go home and be with my sisters. I could take care of them. The courtroom buzzed when my parents came in. My mom and dad looked so ashamed. Well, they should be. They couldn't even look at us. The judge banged on the gavel and asked us to be quiet. Then he read the charges against my parents.
How do you plead?
He asked them. "Guilty," they whispered. When it was time for my sisters to go up on the stand, my mother was already crying uncontrollably. I was the last one to speak on the stand. When they asked me why I was in juvenile jail, I answered them with a loud and strong voice. There was no other way to feed me and my sisters. I was too young to work, so I just decided to steal. I didn't want to do it, but I had to. My parents barely noticed that we were there. We barely had enough to eat. Do you know how terrible it feels to go to sleep without eating anything that day? Alex, Katie, and I are like that most of the time. We can't even afford new clothes. Our old clothes are turning into rags. We had to scrimp on everything, even on soap. And all that time, our parents didn't notice that they were practically starving us to death. Or worse, they saw us, but they just didn't care. It seemed like they were irritated to find us at home. I was already crying by then. Even my dad's face was drenched in tears. I continued my story. Sometimes, I wish I had never been born. But then I think about my sisters. I have to face this world just for them. It was deathly quiet in the room when the judge finally spoke. He said, "Your house is not a place where children are cared for. Because of this, I sentenced the mother and the father to 10 years in prison. Since Samantha is already 18, she can get custody of her 2 sisters, provided that she can work and earn honest money. The charges against Samantha are dropped. She can leave the detention center without a record." They led my parents away. I thought I would feel triumphant, but I only felt sad. I wish I didn't have to come to this. But that feeling suddenly changed when my sisters ran up to hug me. I was free now. I was also a high school graduate. I could go to work and take care of Katie and Alex. So we moved back to our house. With the help of Pam, we were able to fix it up and get a lot of secondhand furniture to replace all the stuff that my dad had to sell. That night, the 3 of us sat down for dinner. For the first time in ages, there was enough food on the table. Alex raised her glass full of orange juice. She said, "To new beginnings!" I never thought I would feel so empowered and strong. Maybe someday, we could find it in our hearts to forgive our parents. But not yet. The wounds they gave us are still too fresh. But with my sisters living with me again, I felt hope. I knew we were going to be just fine.